Alright guys, and welcome to my Unholy Death Knight Wrath of the Lich King guide. This is going to be a quick overview of all of the essentials that you need to know, but if you have more specific questions, you should always be checking out your class discords, and I will link those in the description. Here are the topics: talents and glyphs, professions, stat prio, pre-bis and bis gear, enchants and gems, consumables, the rotation spell priority, tips to increase your DPS, and lastly macros and weak auras I would recommend. These are the best talents and glyphs for single target raid boss DPS in Phase 1 and Ulduar. And by the way, if you guys don't already know, we will be dual wielding as Unholy Death Knight now. And these are the best talents and glyphs post Trial of the Grand Crusader, when we can get the sigil that increases our strength by 200 on Scur strikes from the Emblems of Triumph vendor. And if you want a more AoE specialised build for doing dungeons and for clearing trash, you very simply take 1 point out of Unholy Blight, swap it with Corpse Explosion, and you get the glyph of Corpse Explosion. We will be using Corpse Explosion on the pet to blow it up to do loads of damage. Now for professions, go engineering and jewel crafting. It's the best on Sims, absolute end of story. The stat priority is hit cap to 5%, then strength, then hit over the cap. That doesn't mean that you should be gemming hit, by the way. Then haste, then crit, then armor penetration, then expertise. But if you do want to specialise more for AoE damage, you'll prioritise strength and crit. Now guys, when it comes to picking your pre-raid bis, your phase 1 bis, then your gems and your enchants, I'd recommend just downloading the add-on Loon Best in Slot. As you can see, it will give you all the pre-bis gear for every single spec in the game, and obviously your best in slot gear too, and obviously where to get it. Bear in mind that sometimes the pre-bis loot is for some reason on the phase 1 bis list, and all the best gems and enchants and what slots to get it in. By the way guys, no bis list with enchants and gems on it is going to be perfect for absolutely every single player. You really need to be simming your character on WoW Sims, because for instance it might not be best in slot to go for a particular gem socket bonus, so I'll leave a link to that in the description. You should always be simming your character to get more precise and accurate results. For your main hand you want Rune of the Fallen Crusader, and then on your offhand you actually want the weapon enchant Black Magic. For consumes, it's very simple: Flask of Endless Rage, you want Strength Food, which is the Dragon Fin Fillet, you want Spice Mammoth Treat for the pet, you want Potions of Speed, and Sapper Charges. Now for the spell prio list. First of all, keep Horn of Winter and Bone Shield up. Maintain your diseases, because they will increase the damage of most of your other abilities. Keep Death and Decay down. Keep Ghoul Frenzy up. Keep the Desolation buff up with Blood Strike. Then fill in your Frost runes with Icy Touch, Unholy runes with Plague Strike, filler Blood runes with Blood Boil. Since we're using a one-hander, Blood Boil does actually more damage than Blood Strike here. Then you consume your Runic Power with Death Coil. Make sure to never cap on Runic Power, even when you have runes available. And fill in with Horn of Winter when you have absolutely no runes up. Now, when you are using the Scur Strike build, it's very simple. Keep Death and Decay out of a single target rotation, and consume Frost and Unholy runes with Scur Strike instead, apart from when you use Ghoul Frenzy, then you match that with a Icy Touch. For AoE rotations, very simple: put Death and Decay down as soon as possible, put your dots up and then spread them with Pestilence, and then Blood Boil becomes a priority over anything else when it comes to rune consumption, and then obviously consume your Runic Power by using the Corpse Explosion macro on your pet. And you want to prioritise using Corpse Explosion over Death Coil when it comes to consuming your Runic Power. And when you are taking down dungeon, raid trash and just short fights in general, you want to just stay in Unholy Presence so you can just get your abilities up faster. Now for some tips to increase your DPS. Always open the fight in Unholy Presence, because you're going to pop that with your Gargoyle in the opener, because it's going to benefit it massively when it comes to increasing the DPS of the Gargoyle, and you swap back to Blood Presence with a Blood Tap. This is because the Gargoyle does snapshot your haste and your attack power, so you want to time it with procs, racials, trinket pops, and obviously heroism and bloodlust. You should also be using a power and root weapon when you know you're going to get the maximum benefit from all DPS buffs like bloodlust and your trinket pops as well. Use Army of the Dead on bosses that are immune to taunts. Remember to summon it far away from the boss though, so you don't accidentally pull the boss when you're summoning those ghouls. Remember to use /cast Claw on all of your abilities, even stuff like Horn of Winter, because for some reason pet scripting is really bad and the ghoul just doesn't use Claw as fast as he should. It's important to learn how the Roost Grace period works. So all runes have a 10-second cooldown when you use them, but let's say the rune is available and you wait 2.5 seconds before using it, then the rune will have a 7.5 cooldown. It won't be any longer than 2.5 seconds though. So how do you apply this in your rotation? Well, Don't be afraid to use a death coil over using your runes when you are going to cap on runic power. And it is also worth sometimes waiting a couple of seconds for your dots to fall off before you refresh them, obviously only when you are using your Skirt Strike build. The same goes for dot snapshotting actually. Sometimes it's better to refresh your dots early before big strength procs fall off, like when your trinket syncs up with your Rune of Fallen Crusader. This is only worth doing obviously when you are using your Skirt Strike build, because when you're not using that build and using the Morb build, you are just constantly refreshing your dots anyway. Anti-magic shield can be used to increase your DPS. You can stand in melee range while other DPS would die, because you can just soak over damage and it actually returns runic power to you, so you get more damage through Death Coil this way. This is normally when you are actually going to start spamming Death Coil, so you don't cap and waste potential Death Coils and take advantage of that Roost Grace period, because it's essentially a few free Death Coils. You want to be pooling runic power before a boss. You can do it on trash or on critters and then maintain it with Death and Decay and Horn of Winter. You can also build it up very slowly if you start with 0 runic power just by constantly using Death and Decay and Horn of Winter, and then Blood Tap as well, but we want to have Blue Tap available for the actual raid boss. Have a macro for Pet Leap to leap him to the boss on pull, so he gets there into combat faster, and also you're going to be using Rocket Boots for the exact same purpose, to get into the boss faster. Now guys, if you want all the best weak auras, add-ons and macros for the Death Knight, I've made a big spreadsheet for all the best stuff for every single class in the game. All you have to do is subscribe to the channel, go to my subscriber trailer and click in the link of the description of that video. Make sure to bookmark the video or the homepage on Google Drive, because it will disappear after one watch. If you can't find it for some reason, basically YouTube is failing you, just leave a message on my Discord in the request channel. But anyway guys, that is going to be the end of the video there. My name is MetaGoblin. To my next video. Ciao.